As you know that examiner will ask bare minimum 50% of your paper that's about the theory. And theoretical content, sometimes it's very standard or very specific. For example, for advanced investment appraisal, the very specific content, the examiner asking regularly the limitation of NPV or the assumption of NPV or assumption for APV calculation, investment appraisal assumptions, a very common question. These questions normally covered with different questions and also with my notes. You can read it just to practice the thing in a manner to apply the knowledge and connect with the case. So my practice question includes that content as well. But sometimes the questions are very open-ended, like this question. That is second category of the theoretical aspects. And the students face problem. And that is what the reason I am conducting a live session about this type of theoretical content. And one of the topic with respect to advanced investment appraisal, previously examiner examined. This is what about the question. First of all, read this question and I will pause the video and I will I will give you 10 minutes. So you have to brainstorm that's what should be the material that you need to draft to get 8 marks. For this type of open-ended questions, I always recommend students to read the content of syllabus, either study text or from a study hub. Read means only the theoretical content. It's not about reading the calculations, because calculation part very much covered with the lectures of the facilitators, and obviously facilitator also covers the theoretical contents, but you people only listen the theoretical content. But listening is one angle. Another point, it's reading. And third, okay, are you able to hear me? Can you please reply me? Okay. Apologies for this inconvenience. Three things are important if you wanted to become master for the theory, especially with this open-ended type of questions. Number one, getting the knowledge by reading the text, either from Kaplan or either from Study Hub. Number two, reading the notes. That's important. So this is all about reading. Number two, listening the lectures very carefully, especially about the theoretical aspect. And the third one, do practice. Whatever you learn from reading, listening, now do practice. So I'm going to pause the video and invest your 10 minutes to brainstorm the point, even draft the answer. What should be the answer for this question? Your time starts now. I strongly suggest you have to draft the answer. Important thing, once again, don't be afraid. Start drafting. It's not about right or wrong. It's about start. Do remember that 50 marks of your exam is about theory. So 2 months before the exam, you have to start practicing now. That's important. Start practice. Okay, ji. Now it's my turn to cover this question. Listen carefully. Listen carefully. What is the right strategy to attempt the exam question, including theoretical aspects? The strategy for both calculation and theory. But what is the right strategy? The exam strategy must be with the formula 2080. Exam strategy 2080 means 20% of your time, 20% of your time must have to make a good plan. And planning time includes reading, understanding, and brainstorming. Means before attack, you need to identify the key points. Brainstorm means identify the key points. This is examiner recommendation. This is not mine. This is examiner recommendation for all strategic level exam. And 80% time you need to invest for execution. Execution, whatever the plan you have based on the above plan. So this is what about the strategy you need to follow. And from today, you have to apply this rule for all of your exam standard questions. 2080. The rule for 2080. So let's apply this rule. First 20%. Here the case, 20% time, and you know very well, for 8 marks, you have 1.8 minutes for each mark. Multiply by 8 is equal to, you have approximately 14 minutes. 14 to 15 minutes. Multiple by 20%, that means approximately you have 3 minutes for good planning. Planning includes read, understand, and brainstorm. Let's start. Number one, the company has adopted a strategy of diversification. Strategy of diversification means investing the finance to develop portfolios. That's called diversification. There are multiple investment with a pool. That's called portfolio. Strategy of diversification into many different industry. Do remember, this question is about company. For example, the company here, strategy of diversification means the company involve multiple business. For example, the car industry, automobile, plus telecom, plus chemical sector, plus banking sector. That's the portfolio in different industry. In order to reduce the risk for the company's shareholders. So you know very well, a strategy of diversification is for the sake to reduce the risk. And what is specific risk? The systematic risk. That's very clear point. Huh? Now examiner asks, provide reasoned explanation as to whether you support the strategy, company strategy of the diversifying into many different industries. This is 8 marks question. 8 marks question. So you have read the question. I must say, first of all, you have to read and understand. Understanding means you have identified, you have clearly understand that what's the examiner requirement and what is the context, requirement and context. And now it's time to brainstorm. You need to talk to yourself. Brainstorm your points before starting anything. First thing, you have to develop something raw form. Then shape up your mind. If I say that some raw thinking. So first thing is that here the question about diversification as a strategy. Listen carefully. Diversification as strategy means company is not emphasizing only the expansion but diversification as a strategy. But this is the point as a company. So that means company involved with different business units. Involved with different business units. Here the requirement. You need to understand the requirement. That's very much important. Reasoned explanation. Reasoned explanation means here whether you support this point. This is something about explanation. This is something about the question to ask by examiner. Either you, what is your point? Do you support that? So I suggest you have to answer both angles. Both angles. The pause. Something about negative side. Negative means, negative here means the challenge side. And something about positive. The positive point you people have covered multiple times because very basic. For example, the positive side is about if the company diversified the portfolio, that means spreading the risk. That is the positive side. Spreading the risk, for example, spreading the risk and minimize the risk, minimize the cost of capital. If the cost of capital reduce, the company value become increase. This is what about something you people have studied multiple times. Some more positive points, but this is about if the company diversified. So is this about the challenge as well? You need to think about that. So before thinking, before started brainstorming, first of all, you need to ask yourself, I am very much clear about the context. I am very much clear about the requirement, especially the requirement, what examiner asks. Context is about strategy of diversification by a company. Requirement is about what is our thinking. Do we support that? That means we have to answer with some challenge point and with some positive point. Now we need to determine some brainstorming. Means identify The key points. The key points. Students, can you please reply me? Are you with me? Now, if we work out for the brainstorming points, so what I say that what the easy way to start the answer. So one statement, the starting point, you say that my starting point is very simple and with clarity. The starting point, I will start the point with the first 2 or 3 lines. The strategy of the company, as diversification. So make a clarity about diversification, means invest the finance in a way to diversify in the multiple business areas. Okay, number 1. Number 2, here the examiner has made a reference about shareholder. Examiner has mentioned about the term reduce the risk of the shareholders. So you must start the point with the strategy of the company and the point of view about shareholder. And you must mention here there are 2 class of shareholders. 2 class of shareholders. Individuals and corporate, the companies, and with corporates maybe the financial intermediaries, like bank, like investment company. For example, you are ABC company, and you have a business of textile since last 40 years. You wanted to make a strategy to diversify with automobile, diversified with the telecom, diversified with bank. And you are saying that we are diversifying because through diversification, overall risk become reduced, and that is benefit to the shareholder. Benefit to the shareholder means maximize the wealth of shareholder. That is what the point of discussion. And we as a company having different shareholders. Some are individuals, public. Individuals means public. And some are corporate like bank. So this is what the starting point. And after starting point, now start with some positive point or challenge. Positive point or challenge. For example, if we start with challenge, you can start with the positive point as well. If you start with the challenge, so for challenge point, you have to develop the point that's different shareholder having different perspective on diversification. For example, some shareholder really welcome for this initiative of the company. Okay, you need to diversify. But some may not. Why? Because, for example, let's suppose you are a company ABC and you are engaged with textile. and you wanted to diversify, and you call your shareholder one of the FI financial institution and share this strategy diversification. So financial institution replied to you, we are financial institution and we have total fund of 100 billion, and out of 100 billion we just invest with your textile company 2%. Rest of the 98% we have already well diversified. So we are indifferent about your strategy because we have already well diversified. So means one of your shareholder having perspective that is your financial institutions, that they are well diversified, already well diversified. So even we diversify or not, they don't have any concern. Even they will question mark you. We have invested you because you are expert with textile, and you will be the new entrant for the car, automobile, or banking or telecom. So why we trust you? We trust you as textile. We will not trust you because our portfolio also have the expert of automobile, expert of banks. They have been doing business since a long time. Are you getting the point? Hello? Same point can be raised by individuals. For example, you are one of the individual shareholder. You are just an employee of any company, director of a company. Your main source of income is the salary, but you have invested 3 different companies. One of the companies, ABC Textile, and ABC Textile announced in the media that we are going to diversify. We have been business since last 40 years, but we are going to invest in the automobile. What will your reply? At one moment you will appreciate them, but at second time you will say that if I wanted to diversify, why I trust to ABC Textile? Why trust to ABC Textile? I should go for Toyota and very cheap cost. Just sell the share of ABC Textile and buy the mature company shares. So this is what about the challenge faced by the companies who wanted to focus with diversification, and this challenge with viewpoint of shareholder. So one of the point you can consider as diversification. One of the point. That's a challenge. And with this point you can get 2 to 3 marks. But you cannot ignore the positive points. Go. You just mentioned the positive. Positive points are very simple. Since you have already studied, if you become diversified, some points are the company become less volatile in cash flow. Because if just emphasize on one industry, it's more volatile. But if they diversify, they have multiple options. So volatility of the cash flow become reduced, means uncertainty become reduced. And increase the debt capacity. And even the cheaper debt finance. Overall WACC become reduced, value of the company become increases. Lower chances of corporate failure, because if just focus on textile and some problems of the economy affect to the textile, that company also diversified with other portfolio. Access, you can mention the access, the international market as well, more easily, because here you are more diversified, you have more option to go abroad. You can add more points, because this is what about open-ended question. Open-ended question, but focused. For 8 marks, 3 to 4 points good enough. 3 to 4 points good enough. 3 to 4 mark, it's good enough. So first point is that brainstorm. But when you practice in this way, number one, support by reading or book reading of my notes plus practice with this point, you become master for AFM theory. You have good enough time now to read this, to work out for theoretical matter. So that is about the drafting support. Now, this is what about the possible answer for you. This is what about the possible answer. First of all, start very basic. Whatever examiner asks, you need to just add on some point. For example, here, you need to read it. Towel diversified into multiple industries to reduce the risk of shareholder. Okay, this is a question. Now you need to add it. While this may appear beneficial and justified, means rational to shareholder, but they are usually already that's diversified through their personal investment, such as unit trust. Unit trust means financial intermediaries has already prepared the portfolios, or individuals has already prepared their portfolios. If financial intermediaries develop their portfolios, you can use the word portfolio or you can use the word unit trust. Therefore, the companies, ABC companies or Towels, diversification could be costly, may not add value for shareholder. And these are the points. Okay, if you don't mention this point, it's okay. Just initial 2 lines and then start. Whatever I've discussed, shareholder perspectives, individual, corporate. And if examiner asks what is your input, it's better to mention your recommendation. For shareholder perspectives, not recommended. But you can get some benefit. Benefit means this is what point, the positive, that's based a recommendation. Whatever we have discussed. I strongly suggest for example, for less volatility, about 2 marks, 2 points is good enough. I have added 1 more. But make sure whatever you are writing must be completed. For example, if you don't mention the overall cost of capital decrease, that's incomplete. So it's better to write this complete package. 2 marks, segments, corporate failure risk, and overall. Not conclusion, this is the final statement. That is what about the way you answer. Actually, this is the question, something about 10 marks. I have squeezed with the 8 marks. Do remember that initially I've started to support you drafting how to write. Later on with my lectures, later on I will also add drafting with professional skill marks. The commercial acumen, skepticism, all these things, but not today. Candidates, students, can you please reply me? Is this clear to you? What is the right way to start drafting point? Number one is reading, because it's something not in your brain. How it's possible to write the answer? There are two ways examiner can examine. Number one, straight theory. I'm not worried about that. You will cover this. But this type of open-ended question, I will discuss time by time accordingly.